Ladies and gentle fans of Patriot Nation, we are but 2 weeks away. That's right, 2 weeks after what seemed like an interminable half a year of draft coverage, preparation, and so much more. But tonight, or this morning, or whenever you happen to either watch or listen to this very edition of Six Rings and Football Things, we are going to give you the closest thing you could ever possibly imagine to how the Patriots 2025 NFL draft is going to play out. Why? How? Because we're taking a trip into the Lions Den with the real Jon Lyons. That's why. It's coming up next here. 7 rounds of mock draft-tacularness with Jon Lyons and your old pal Fitzy here on Six Rings. Let's go.
Hey, whatever it takes, man. It's all about winning, all right? Winning on 3. 1, 2, 3, win!
Celebrating the heroes of Foxborough's past.
And with a good block. Look at Grover. Touchdown. All the way. Watch the block of number 73, John Hanna.
The champions of the dynastic era.
Adam Vinatieri moves a 48-yard field goal, and the Patriots are Super Bowl champions.
The Patriots of tomorrow.
We're going to remove entitlement from our football team. We're going to earn the right to be here every single day.
And the fans whose faith never wavers. This is Six Rings and Football Things.
Oh, that's right. Six Rings and Football Things returns with a trip to the Lions Den. That's right. At the real Jon Lyons, one of our finest and most football savvy voices at WEEI and beyond. The only person, to my knowledge, that actually coached at the collegiate level. Jon Lyons joins your old pal Nick Fitzy Stevens here for another podcast with a couple of dudes in the middle of their lives who watch too much football, pretending they know exactly what the Patriots are going to do in a couple of weeks from Lambeau Field at the 2025 NFL Draft. John wrote up a 7-round Patriots mock, complete with trades. And I specifically for this exercise, John, because I'm so mocked out. I can't do it anymore. I'm long ago. It's not as bad as it was last year when Mac Jones threw us into irrelevance in Germany. But the Pats were pretty much out of it shortly thereafter this year, thanks to Gerard Mayo, and aren't picking where they should be, thanks to Gerard Mayo and Joe Milton. So I reached peak saturation, and when you reached out and said, "Hey, I put this together. You want to talk about it?" I was like, "Oh, thank God, someone else I like talking football with, who has a different spin on the draft." So, John, how excited are you to be this close now to the draft? It's finally going to happen. It's finally going to happen, and You know what? Even if I get hurt again, even if I get McConkeyed, I just want it to be here. I just want it to happen now. I don't know if I can talk about it more. Thank God you're here.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I've been doing draft shows for like 6 months because really that's when the Patriots were out of it. So I'm glad that it's finally, we're 2 weeks away from the draft. We're a week away, Fitzy, from the Patriots draft party at Vitamin C. I see you got the sweatshirt on there. So looking forward to that. But yeah,
yes,
a couple weeks away, finally.
Right. That's right. John brings up also, we are just a week away from our favorite annual event on Thursday evening, April 17th from 7 to 9:30 p.m. at Vitamin C Brewing down in Weymouth, Massachusetts, South Shore, the home of all the champions, mind you. We'll be running an event to benefit Doug Kyde's LLS Leukemia and Lymphoma Society fundraiser. Come on down. It's $25 a ticket. All proceeds go to Doug's fundraising effort to hopefully prevent anyone else losing anyone of importance, especially, God forbid, a child, to the cowardly diseases of lymphoma and leukemia. We'll drink some beer. We're going to talk to people like John, other analysts, media types. We'll have some former players there. It is going to be a blast. And so will the next 30 minutes talking draft from John's perspective, because you're not like, I've talked to Ted Johnson. I've talked to Andy Hart. I've talked to Tom Curran. I've talked to Mike Giardi. I've listened to every Phil Perry clip. I've listened to everything from Move the Sticks, Daniel Jeremiah, Field Yates, this, that. You know what I need now? A fresh set of eyes, a fresh take on things, and a different Pat's perspective. So here we go. Oh, actually, here's a good one right off the top. And just to dispel any rumors, no, John was not the 4th nominee for the Patriots Hall of Fame today. That would be Logan Mankins, Julian Edelman, and Adam Vinatieri. Though we're going to get you in a red jacket by hook or crook one day down in Foxborough, John.
Yeah, I just won't wear that red sweatshirt that Belichick wore in Super Bowl 42. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm moving.
I hope that has been burned. Don't
It
even
should
give it
have been.
away. I don't want anyone wearing that anywhere. Like
Yeah.
that thing should be burned, fired into the sun. That nothing. It's funny you mentioned that. I get these feels, and there's a question already from someone watching live on YouTube as we record the latest Six Rings of Football things. Hey, Fitzy, is it true? Rumors of possibly acquiring Garrett Wilson. What a pickup that would be. I haven't heard of anything
Yeah.
to
If I'm
those
the
lines. Have
Jets, I'm
you?
not doing that.
Yeah, if
Like,
I'm
you know
that,
what I mean?
that's just
Was your rookie of the year 2-3 years ago? You really great young receiver. Like, yeah, hey, it'd be a great fit, but yeah, I'm not doing that.
our pal Matt Couture watching live on X. I'd vote for Jon Lyons. That's a
What a
vote
nice
well
time.
spent. That's a vote well spent. Okay, so just give me your overall thoughts. What kind of draft this is, John? What the Patriots game plan, target, overall scheme, strategy should be, and then let's get in to the opening of your picks.
Yeah, so look, every Patriots fan out there is hoping that at 4th overall, either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter is there, and then you can either take one of them or trade the pick for a haul, right? But the way the reporting has gone over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, it seems increasingly likely those guys aren't going to be there, right? You're going to have Cam
Mhm,
Ward at number 1 and then
mhm,
Hunter Carter at 2, 3, depending on what order. So I went into this thinking, well, if I'm the team and Hunter and Carter are not on the board, how would I approach this? And look, one school of thought is stay at 4, take Will Campbell, take Armand Membu, take Tet McMillan, take Kelvin Banks, and I would be okay with several of those moves. There's merit to that. But I went into it thinking, well, I know this draft might not be as deep as last year, but if you trade down and you stay in the top 10, you can still get a great player, right? And I know the commenter there says Ashton Genty as well. Running back, not a priority need, but he is a blue chip talent. So my first thought was take that 4th overall pick and see what you can get for it. And the team I looked at was Carolina at pick 8. And I know they traded a lot to get Bryce Young a few years ago. It feels like they have some positive momentum. So my first thing I did here was swing a trade. I got pick 8, 57, and 74 for pick 4. And that allows Carolina to get whether they want Ted McMillan, maybe they want Mason Graham defensively, maybe they want
mhm. Because they lost out on
Milton Williams, right? So they
Milton
didn't
Williams. Yeah, they lost
exactly.
out on Milton because we thought he was originally going there. Turns out the Patriots then re-entered the chat, bid out the wazoo, and got the guy they wanted, who was the number 1 free agent and their number 1 target overall. Great move. Not our money. Well, actually, it sort of kind of is. Doesn't matter. And so Carolina may want to replenish their defensive front and try to get the guy who just was every award winner. And the people like, oh, Mason Graham's small. I wouldn't want him. Oh, Mason Graham's not going to be Aaron Donald. No one said he has to be. But what he is consistently one of the best pocket pushers. He's one of the best pass rushers. He's one of the best run stoppers in college football and has been for years. So whatever team gets him is going to get a day 1 plug and play starter on their defensive line. And if you have Carolina maybe moving up for him, smart move by them, worth the equity if they love the player. And the Pats get some nice day 2 equity in return. So what do you have them doing with it?
Yeah, and again, because this draft isn't quite as deep as last year, didn't get a future first, didn't get 2 seconds, but I figured a second and third was worth it. So then at pick 8, there was some good options there. I went with Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State, right?
Oh.
6'6", 261 pounds, 104 catches, 1,230 yards, 8 touchdowns, all that.
Bellissimo. Brava. I love the Tyler Warren, John. Honestly, maybe one of the 5 can't miss prospects in this draft.
Well, and that's the thing, because I think he is a true blue chip type guy. Like I could see him being a top 5 tight end in the NFL within the first 3 years of his rookie contract. And another big thing, right? So Josh McDaniels comes back. We know that whether it was his early on as offensive coordinator with Ben Watson, obviously then to Rob Gronkowski, and he used tight ends as well in Vegas. He loves to use tight ends in his offense. And Fitzy, the Patriots offense, up until they signed Stephon Diggs, did not have a single player that an opposing defense had to build a game plan around in the passing game. Now,
He changes all of that in a healthy Steph Diggs, double changes all of that
starts
instantly.
that, and Diggs can maybe do that for a year or so, but Tyler Warren over the long term, and I know he's not a receiver, and I know that's their primary, need there, but teams are going to have to game plan around for him, and I think that's something that's a foundational piece with Drake May, and if you want to throw in, say, with a Mike Onwenu or something like that, that's a couple pieces they can at least build around for the long term. So yeah, he's not a receiver, he's not a left tackle, but he's a true blue chip guy that you can have for a long time that can help you in the pass game and the run game as well.
Yeah, and don't forget, he put up those stats playing for Penn State. Penn State plays in the Big 18, otherwise known as the Big 10. So he goes up against legit defensive fronts. He has to block real strong people.
Yeah, this guy's
trying to
blocking
get
Michigan's defensive front. He's blocking Ohio State's defensive front. Like
Mhm.
these are, we're talking about Michigan, Ohio State players going first round, second round. He's blocking them in the run game, sometimes pass blocking as well. And I think the fact that he performed so well in the college football playoff, that matters to me too, right? Because that's the highest level of competition there. So,
all right. By and large, the commenters watching live on Facebook, X, and YouTube seem to like what you got in return and where you went with your pick. Some other people that have been recently mocked to the Patriots, obviously, Abdul Carter's taken his top 30 visit because he might fall to 4. And if so, even if you miss time, you take somebody like that because the man is a difference maker and a game wrecker on top of it all. I would say Jalen Walker. Everyone's been in on Will Campbell again recently, but the Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia, as a stick and pick selection at 4 overall. What do you think about that in case that's what actually happens?
So I think he's a terrific player. I'm actually going to get to linebacker later on in this mock, but I think he is a good player. I think that's a need too, that edge and also stand-up linebacker, not top of the list needs, but kind of sneaky needs. I mean, you let Joanne Bentley go. I know you got Robert Spillane. It's him and Tavai, but you could use some youth in that linebacking group and even along the edge. You have Harold Landry. I love Anthony Jennings and how he sets the edge. You have Keon White. I'd like a 4th guy, though, that you're really excited about. So I think, I'm not against Jalen Walker there. I think there's other directions you can go and still get a quality edge or linebacker later on.
All right, let's move it along. Later in the first round, you have another trade, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. So obviously with that Panthers trade, I acquired some picks. So I took pick 38, the Patriots' top second round pick, pick 69, nice pick there, and a later pick at pick 144, and went all the way up to 19 with Tampa Bay. You might think, well, why would Tampa Bay do that? They have a roster that's a division winning type roster. They can add a boatload of talent to it with these picks, or at least a few good potential young players to build around Baker Mayfield, who they just gave a lot of money to.
So you aggressively go up, not into the 20s or even at 30, 31, 32. You go all the way up to 19 to get someone you must have your eyes and heart set on. Who that be?
A guy who I think could end up being the second best left tackle in this draft, maybe the best, and that's Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. 6'5", 317 pounds, and I believe this strongly, Fitzy. If he doesn't tear that ACL in October, I think he's a top 10 pick. I mean, that would have been the starting left tackle on the national championship team. And let's face it, too. The last time the Patriots had good left tackle play was before COVID. Like, it's been a while, Fitzy, since they had good left tackle.
2018, when
I agree.
When they had Trent Brown on the left side.
And what I like about Simmons, there's been a lot of talk like Will Campbell's arm length, this and that. So Simmons,
Mike Giardi, big fan, said he's kind of a knucklehead. There could be a little personality red flag type of issues. But that said, the talent's undeniable.
Yeah, and I know that his arm length, he's right about 33 inches. He's kind of right on the edge, but he has really good flexibility, really good bend. I think with you look at some of the speed edge rushers he's going to face in the AFC East, as well as just in general across the NFL, he uses his hands really well. And I know people love offensive line technique talk on Six Rings and Football Things, but
that's what we're here. That's what we're here for. You're here for a reason.
To me, just for my coaching eye, I think he does a really good job striking his hands quickly. He bends pretty well for a guy that's 6'5", 317. So I think that's going to be an asset over long term. Now, he's not as big as Nate Solder, all right, but I think he can play pretty quickly because if you look at when they've drafted left tackles, Matt Light in the second round, good technique guy, good flexibility guy, played right away. Nate Solder, physical specimen, but it took him a year before he played. You're not going to have a year behind Vidarian Lowe.
Little fill-in work that year. He also played a little rights. And then got in after Matt Light retired. When Matt Light still had miles left on the tires, he was still playing at a very high level, but wanted to walk away with his health intact. Real quick, why Simmons at 19? And that's an aggressive move, and I like that you acquired the capital. My dream personally is to have the Patriots get 2 guys in the first. I want 2 players in the first round. I don't just one. Doesn't feel like enough. Like this is a time to go get starters, fundamental trench guys. That's the kind of draft it is to me as well. But why Simmons at 19 over Campbell at 4?
Yeah, great question. So I think Simmons is a little bit of a safer bet at left tackle. Like I think they're both going to be great offensive linemen. And make no mistake, Will Campbell is going to be a great player in the NFL. The career-defining question is that at left guard, is that at left tackle? Whereas Simmons, you know he's going to be a left tackle. And even if he doesn't have quite the ceiling as Will Campbell, if you still have a top half of the NFL left tackle protecting Drake May's blind side, you're in business. And the other piece of it, Fitzy, the fifth-year option, right? Rather than wait and take a Josh Connerly early in the second round or something like that, I know I got the fifth-year option for Simmons, and I know I see the commenter there worried about his health. Simmons has worked out since then. Looks like he's on track to be back for training camp. So again, if there's medical red flags, then fine, stay away. But I think he's going to be healed and ready to go. Because remember, that injury happened early enough in October that I think he'll be okay, by the time we get to late July.
And a tackle recovering from that versus somebody who needs to use all of the elements of an ACL, your ligaments, your speed, your flexibility, your lateral cutting and movements like a receiver, completely different ballparks, completely different ball games. I get that anyone that's like, oh, that's not sexy enough. That's not, where's the whiz bang and flash in that? You need it. I think he'd be just fine as well. I'm in the camp that Will Campbell is going to be Peter Skoronski. He's got the exact same measurements, the exact same combine as Zach Martin, who was a plus level, if not Pro Bowl caliber guard, potential Hall of Fame guard. We need a tackle. So I'm with you. Love it so far. Would also be happy if they get, I like Ursery, and I also wouldn't, kick Josh Connerly from Oregon out of bed for eating crackers as well, just in case he falls into their hands later in the first round as well. All right. So we've made a couple trades, acquired some assets, moved some assets. We're leaving the first round with a tight end of the future, a Gronk-esque potential stud, and we also now have a potential left tackle of the future as well. Two great prospects. Where are we going in round two?
So we're at pick 57 after the trades, and just no more trades, I promise. But we're at pick 57. I go Carson Schweswinger out of UCLA, linebacker. I really like, so he's 6'2", 242 pounds, first team All-American, by the way. It's a little bit bigger than Robert Spillane, and I feel like Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams, they're going to err on the side of slightly smaller linebackers. It's not going to be the Brewskis, the Hightowers, the Brandon Spikes, big dudes in the middle. So he's going to be bigger than Spillane, but he's still not huge. And what I like a lot about him, he had, I think, 5 picks last year too, but what I like a lot about him is you can see on film that his pursuit jumps out at you, but he doesn't over pursue too much, which is something a lot of young linebackers can do. They get so hyped up, or they're really going downhill in the run game, that a good NFL running back will make a cut, they'll miss a tackle. I think he does a good job if he plays fast and aggressive, but he doesn't over pursue. And I think it's one of the reasons he's a first team All-American. And again, that's a position, we touched on it earlier. You need some depth there. You need some youth. You need some energy, because I don't know how much longer Tavai's going to be here. Bentley's already gone.
Not much longer. Spillane's going to be great, but why wouldn't you want to possibly get somebody like that is on the lighter side, great pursuit, aggressive, violent, that profiles or fits the profile to me of this Philadelphia Eagles divided by the Tennessee Titans style defense that Terrell Williams and Mike Vrabel and company are trying to build. Okay, solid pick.
Round 3, pick 74. Fitzy, this is kind of a selfish pick by me. One of my favorite overall players in the draft, Trey Harris, Ole Miss wide receiver. And he might last till 74. In this scenario, he ended up lasting that long. But him and Dylan Sampson, running back out of Tennessee, are my favorite post-day one skill players. I think those are great players. But Trey Harris,
a lot of people love Trey Harris.
Yeah, 6'2", 205. I remember 2 years ago, I was watching Ole Miss on opening weekend, and I was like, who is that guy? He jumps right off the screen at you. As I said, 6'2", 205. This dude missed 5 games last year. Fitz, he still had over 1,000 yards receiving. He has had injuries in back-to-back years, which otherwise I think he'd be a mid to high second-round pick. And if you look at the Patriots receiving core, yes, they have Steph Diggs. Yes, they have Demario Douglas. They have Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, great, whatever. They don't have a guy that you're like, that's an X receiver. You line up in a 3-by-1 set. He's by himself as the one, and he can win a matchup, whether it's with speed, physicality, instincts. I think Harris is a guy that can do that. I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to be Randy Moss reincarnated, but it's a guy in a 3-by-1 set. It's what, and not to bring up bad memory, what they wanted Devontae Parker to be when they traded for him. That's Fitzy's dog. That's exactly what I think Trey Harris can be, is that guy, big-bodied X receiver. He can win with speed, win with physicality. So to me, pick 74. If he's there, no brainer. One of my favorite players in the draft.
Yes. If anyone hasn't had a chance to, go to Twitter, just type in Trey Harris, Ole Miss, or just Trey Harris, and watch his highlights. You want to talk about someone who mosses people. You want to see somebody who pulls an Odell Beckham and does it with style and ease. He's amazing. He's definitely a one-on-one winner for sure. There are some other receivers that if they end up in Foxborough as well, and coming out of the draft, with Tyler Warren and picking up Steph Diggs and having an offensive coordinator and a new set of coaches that are going to try to figure out what they have in Javon Baker and Jalen Polk and not just give up on everybody is a huge asset. But that said, I like the Kyle Williams kid out of Washington State. A couple people want Xavier Restrepo because they think he ran slow, but he catches everything and he's tough as nails out of University of Miami. There are a lot of second and third round receiver projects that'll be worth, like Ibuka is probably going to get picked in the first round. I'm not a Tet McMillan guy. I'm sure he'll be a fine pro. Just not he reminds me of LSU Terrace Marshall. Like he hasn't really panned out so far with Carolina. I'm sure he'll be better than that, but he's just not my cup of tea.
And I think one thing Warren and Diggs, and if you get Harris, allow you to do is stretch the field a little bit more. And if you go back to Josh McDaniels in 2022, the Raiders attempted passes over 20 yards on over 14% of their snaps. They were top 5 in the league, whereas the Patriots last year were right around 10% of their snaps. And I know that doesn't sound like a big difference. Patriots are like 25th in the league in deep attempts.
Right.
So part of it is
open,
and you couldn't protect.
He couldn't protect him as well, but you've already addressed that as well. And they spent some money in free agency as well. Some people like Joe Kocha 3 here, like Jaden Higgins. There's Jalen Noel. Some people like Luther Burden. There's and Jack Besh. I do want a couple of people have mentioned him, the kid out of Texas Tech.
Bowl MVP, right?
Yes, and catches everything. Like possession, like kind of guy that you can just depend on, go to. I personally, in addition to wanting to see the Pats get 2 people in the first round, I also want to see them come out of this as promised, and Mike Reese hinted at it last week in his news and notes. I want to see them get the pass catching back again. I want the Shane Vereen, James White, J.R. Redmond guy to come back, and I want the third down receiver as well. And some are going to say, like, but we already have him. He's called Pop Douglas. I like Pop. I think
the exercise to do with that, though, Fitzy, and I've talked about this with a few people. In a great offense, where would these guys slot in? Like Diggs would be a 2, Douglas would be like a 4. You're missing that 1 option, that 3 option. Maybe it's Kendrick Bourne, maybe it's Jalen Polk. We'll see. But like that's the thing.
I don't know if Bourne makes it.
Yeah. So all right, next pick here, Fitzy. Pick number 77. Round 3, pick 77.
Oh, round 3.
Last pick of round 3 for me. If they get this guy, Fitzy, I'll give you a hug. Andrew Makuba, safety out of Texas. Since Devin McCourty retired, they have not had a guy that can play in the deep part of the field. Now, they do 3 safety packages quite a bit. Of course, when Adrian Phillips was here, they did that a lot. They have Kyle Duggar. They have Jabril Peppers. I think both of those guys are better served as box safety type players. Makuba, to me, is a little thin, but great cover guy in the deep part of the field. According to PFF, he had over 500 snaps in the quote-unquote deep part of the field, still had 5 interceptions and 6 passes defensed, started his college career at Clemson in a relatively complex defense, transferred over to Texas. And Texas last year, he transfers over immediately. The starting free safety, they're the 7th-ranked pass defense in the nation. Like this,
you've already got fans in the chat on this guy as well. And John, I'm so glad you're addressing. Every team has needs. Every team has sneaky needs and sneaky big needs. And one sneaky big need for the Patriots is free safety, because they have a bunch of hard-hitting 230-pound safeties that are suspect at times in pass coverage and across the middle of the field, and oftentimes.
And also, too, Fitzy,
they hit like freight trains, but there's no free safety on this roster right now. Jalen Hawkins, no, come on now.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but if you look at the way they've built this defense, you have Gonzalez, who's a great man cover corner. You have Carlton Davis, who's a great man cover corner. You'll probably have Marcus Jones in the slot. You want to be able to play tighter man coverage with one safety over the top. They just don't have that guy really right now. I mean, maybe it's Marte Mapu, but I'd like Makuba to come in and be part of that discussion.
He's a linebacker, box safety, tank safety type of guy. I don't see him as the free safety that the Patriots have sorely needed for years. Makuba Matata, what a wonderful way.
Now we're into round 4, pick 106. Deone Walker, Kentucky defensive tackle. I'm a big fan of him. Now, look, he's 6'6", 345. He'd be much bigger than anybody else the Patriots defensive tackle group has. And I know they spent a lot of money on Barmore. They spent a lot of money on Milton Williams. I still want a space-eating, run-stuffing type guy. Now, Walker, he's available in the 4th round.
Because he's what pick again?
106. He's available in the 4th round because he's got to add some muscle to his lower half, right? His top half, big, physical, thick, but he's got to add some muscle to his lower half. If he does that with the Patriots, I'm not going to tell you he's going to be a starter and he's going to play over Barmer or Milton Williams. But as a rotational guy, especially on early downs and running downs, this is a guy that I think they could make use of. I mean, they haven't replaced Lawrence Guy since he left a couple of years ago in kind of that run-stopping type role. They need a guy kind of like that. And I
lost
think
Daniel Aquale. They signed the guy from Arizona whose name escapes me right now. Large, space-eating, Danny Shelton type, but like
Shelton's another. I just would like another body there. I think that's something you can never, to me, have too many defensive tackles and edge guys.
Okay.
Like I want another body there.
All right, I'm going to raise my hand. Hi, John. Nick Stevens. Some people call me Fitzy here. First time, long time. It's the middle of the 4th round. It's early in the 4th round. You haven't addressed running back yet. Will that be a point of emphasis coming up?
We'll get to that later. I promise you. I promise.
All right.
So, round 5. I'm going to go with another receiver here, Jon Lyons out of Virginia Tech. And I know, look, they have Polk, they have Baker, they signed Diggs, and I already have Trey Harris and Tyler Warren, quote unquote, mocked here. But what I like about Lane, he's a little bit different than those guys I mentioned. Now, he can play Z. I think he can play slot, kind of bounce back and forth between the two. He ran a 4.34 40-yard dash, That was tied for 3rd among receivers. So this guy adds a lot of speed to your group right away. 38 catches last year, doesn't jump out at you, but he returned 24 punts, a 10-yard average per punt return. And if Marcus Jones is going to have a bigger role on your defense this year, and who knows, maybe an offensive role,
we don't know where they're going to use him, John. Sorry for stepping on your toes, but like Vrabel hasn't not that they want to show their cards on the table in the middle of April, although they've been very overt about some of the things they are trying to do or that they desire this season. But I don't know if Marcus Jones is going to return punts or kickoffs or play slot or do all 3 or none of those things.
Exactly, right? And I think once you get to round 5, too, you're looking for some traits and you're looking for some guys that maybe can help on special teams. Lane has the speed. He can help you on special teams. And over time, he's not going to play over the receivers that they would otherwise have. But 2, 3, 4 years from now, as a punt returner, could he develop into a receiver? I think you could get something there. And it's round 5. So I like Jon Lyons there.
You are getting, John, for all the draft talk that has taken place on this podcast and even during our afternoon show, this is the most praise I've seen. You obviously do your homework, ball, you scout the players. You literally used to go and scout players, and you coach ball at Bridgewater State for 7 seasons, and you bring all that knowledge, not to mention savoir-faire, handsome, and a taste for delicious beer as well to our airwaves and to our website on a regular basis. So you're getting the love right now. I love this.
And you asked me about running back, Fitzy. The Patriots in this mock, they have 2 picks left, both in the 7th round here because they gave up 1 to get rid of Joe Milton, of course. Round 7, pick 220, Jaquavius Marks. They call him Woody Marks, running back out of USC. Now, look, you got Ramondre Stevenson, bruising physical between the tackles runner who did have a huge fumbling problem last year. You have Gibson, who's kind of 7. That's the most in the NFL by running back. You have Antonio Gibson, who's a nice signing, good kind of complimentary player, but you're missing that speed element, that Danny Woodhead, James White type speed element. Mm-hmm. And Woodhead was more short area quickness too, not to make a White skill player joke, but he really was. Jaquavius Marks to me.
People in the chat have already. I think it was just moments ago. We got our token. Mirth, who's watching live on YouTube, who's going to be our tiny Caucasian slot receiver.
He's deceptively fast, Fitzy.
Yeah, so look, I need more pygmies, guy.
So look, Jaquavius Marks, they call him, like I said, Woody Marks. He played for 4 years at Mississippi State, transferred to USC and played there. So he does have a lot of miles on his legs. That's part of the reason he's way down in the 7th round. He also, to me, in the short areas, like when he catches the ball and there's defenders around him, doesn't break a ton of tackles, it doesn't make a lot of guys miss. But what he does do, Fitzy, and this reminds me a little bit of James White. And no, I'm not telling you he could be the co-MVP of Super Bowl 51, but just this trait, when he gets the ball in space, his speed jumps out at you. Like he ran a 4.54 40 at the combine. I'm telling you, he's faster than that. You just watch him play. He's faster than that. He had 47 catches last year, 321 yards, had over 1,100, rushing yards.
I like it.
This is a dude, just get him the ball in space. You run a screen pass, you run a mesh rail concept, you run a running back swing, whatever. Get him the ball in space and he'll take off. He's not going to run between the tackles or do that. Just get him the ball in space.
Let me throw you. I mean, people have once again said not a great wide receiver draft. Obviously, worst quarterback draft, maybe at least since 2021.
Good thing the Patriots have the
2018.
future at quarterback.
Thank God they actually have one, and got rid of another one who may turn out to be something or nothing. Who knows?
Yeah, the best 6th round pick in team.
Yeah. 6th round Patriots really know how to take quarterbacks in the 6th round.
Tom Brady 3rd.
Yeah, Tom Milton or Joe Brady.
Yeah,
not that Joe Brady.
Not that Joe.
He's somewhere else. Yeah. So anyway, they say it's a very deep running back class as well. And people like Hampton out of UNC, obviously.
He could be a 1st round pick.
I think he will go in the 1st round. I think Genty goes 6 to the Raiders. He does if he gets that far, but that's my prediction. People like Judkins out of Ohio State. I like Travion Henderson.
Yeah, both of them, right?
Yeah, well, Judkins is a little more Derrick Henry, so maybe if there's a Vrabel style lust for that, I get it. I just think Travion Henderson doesn't put the ball in the carpet, 7 yards per carry in college, blank loads of touchdowns. And if he gets a running start, good luck trying to take him down because that guy is a bullet out of the backfield.
Yeah, my favorite is Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. It's just when I did this mock, it didn't quite like I would have had to reach for him a little bit. And if he's a guy that if he's available a little later on, I'd go for Dylan Sampson. And Donovan Edwards too, they're around 7, something like that. Don't hate that type deal. So, but to me, I go with Jaquavius Marks. Like I said, they call him Woody Marks at USA. Some miles on his legs, not great at breaking tackles. So he'll be there in the 7th round. Ton of speed on that guy as well. So last pick for the Patriots, Fitzy, round 7, pick 238.
All right, the final pick of the Jon Lyons 2025 New England Patriots full mock, round 7, pick 238.
Going with Joshua Gray, guard out of Oregon State. And I'm always a proponent. Take one offensive lineman late or priority undrafted free agent. Just try to develop them. We've seen the Patriots have a ton of success developing late round offensive linemen for 20 years. And a lot of it was Dante Scarnecchia. But even in some years that they didn't have him, I mean, David Andrews, an undrafted free agent in 2015, right? Came out and we just saw him leave. We're sad that he left. Brian Stork, 4th round pick with Dave DeGuglielmo as O-line coach. He started in the Super Bowl, right? So,
and then was out of football 2 years later because from what I've heard, he was a miserable pain in the ass.
Yeah, I've heard similar. But Joshua Gray, Oregon State guard. Why did I go with him out of all the options potentially there? Well, he's played left tackle and left guard. So he's got some positional versatility. 2022, 2023, played left tackle. Last year switched to left guard. Not great pass protection wise. That will need development, but pretty darn good run blocker. Actually, PFF, if you're into that stuff, had him at 74.6 on his run blocking grade. So I think he's a guy that backup swing type role, because another piece of this fits you, right? We've spent 6 months talking about left tackle. Can you tell me who their left guard is? Because I don't know who it is. It could be Cole Strange. It could be Layden Robinson. Maybe it'd be Joshua Gray. But
it could be Jake Andrews. Garrett Bradbury spoke today after signing that deal once he was cut by the Vikings, and they let David Andrews go. They say it's going to be an open competition between Ben Brown, Cole Strange, and Garrett Bradbury at center. Jake Andrews could also enter the chat there as well. So you're going to see a great camp-based competition for left guard and center, but I can't guarantee or predict who's going to be there at all. I would love if they drafted somebody who just pushed everyone out the way and said, no, this spot is mine. Robinson was good the final third of the season once they switched him over to left guard. He was much better, and I'm going to give him a shot because
I like Layden Robinson. I think he does have legit
last year,
potential. And I think if you're the Patriots, this is an aside, but out of Caden Wallace and Layden Robinson, if one of those two guys can develop into a legit offensive lineman, you'll be happy. I don't know which one it's going to be. Kind of lean towards Robinson, but if one of those guys could develop, I think you'll, be all right.
All right. So one more time for everyone who either just showed up late, wasn't paying attention, or just wants to hear it again so they can be the smartest guy at their draft party. And we've had some requests to run through it. So, John, one more time, please. 1 through 7. Give me all your picks.
Trade down to pick 8 in the first round. Take Tyler Warren, at tight end out of Penn State. Trade back up into the first round. Take Josh Simmons. Round 2, pick 57, Carson Schweswinger. That's a lot to say. Linebacker out of UCLA. You'll like him a lot, folks, if he gets drafted. Round 3, Trey Harris, wide receiver. I'd give Fitzy a hug if they drafted this guy. I'd also give Fitzy a hug if they drafted Andrew Makuba, who I have with my next pick. That's a safety out of Texas. Good range. He's not going to be Devin McCourty, but similar profile, just not quite as big, similar position type. But I would not speak someone else in the same breath as Devin McCourty. Round 4, Deone Walker, defensive tackle out of Kentucky, run stuffing guy, needs some development, some strength in his lower half. Round 5, Jalen Lane, receiver, Virginia Tech. I'm drafting him as much for his punt return ability and his pure speed as I am his receiver ability. You're going to have to develop him there, but he's got some good traits. And in round 5, I thought the value was there. Round 7, Joquavius Marks. They call him Woody Marks, running back out of USC. Speed, and catching ability, which is something the Patriots really struggled with over the past couple of years at the running back position. Obviously needs some development, but hey. And then final pick, round 7, Joshua Gray, guard, Oregon State. More of a depth guy, but see if you can develop him into something. Pretty solid run blocker as well.
And there you have it, folks. As promised, I came into it blind and ignorant, and I probably would have been the same thing had I actually read John's 7-round mock draft at WEEI.com. But you can read John's stuff there on the regular as well. He's a contributor to one of the founding fathers of the New England Football Journal, 7-year college head football coach, and, of course, a weekend and fill-in host at WEEI FM 93.7. And you can hear him on the Odyssey app and a regular guest here on Six Rings and Football Things. John, we'll have you April 17th, 7 to 9:30 at Vitamin C Brewing for the draft party to benefit Doug Kyde's Leukemia and Lymphoma Society efforts to eradicate childhood cancer and further cancer research. Come on down, make a donation, drink some beers, and we'll talk some ball. And John will also be contributing on April 24th on draft night as well on our huge Christian Arcand draft party at WEEI. So you're going to want to tune in there, hang out with us, and John will join me for a podcast once the draft is over. We'll give it a grade here together. John, any final thoughts? Oh, wait, someone just jumped in. Wait, hold on a second. When do we draft a kicker?
Undrafted free agent for a kicker.
We'll find somebody. Yeah, that's right.
We'll get someone. Yeah.
Final thoughts before we wrap it and kick it, kid?
Yeah. So I know this might, a couple trades in this mock, a little unusual, but I approached this with the idea that Hunter and Carter are both going to be off the board. Obviously, if they're on the board, it changes it a little bit. But Fitzy, this draft is a real opportunity for the Patriots because they got their quarterback of the future last year. They got a couple, I think, potential stud defensive players the year before, but they're missing a few pieces, and they spent a lot of money in free agency. If they want to build this thing and get it on the right track and be the Cincinnati Bengals and be really good in a couple years, or be the Houston Texans or Washington Commanders, they're going to have to get this draft right. And I'm talking about 3-4 legit contributors in this draft. And it's possible, but I think this is not as pivotal as last year when you had to get the quarterback of the future. But this is an important draft for the Patriots if they're going to get back on the right track, and they have a big opportunity to do it.
Don't draft for need, trade up, trade down, buy the dip, manipulate the market, and go Pats. There you have it, folks. Once again, follow him at The Real Jon Lyons, Lyons. We'll have him back here on the pod soon. Thank you guys for watching live, contributing, and tuning in as always. Make sure you tell your friends this is the fastest growing and most fun Patriots fan community in the whole wide world of football. And of course, subscribe to the podcast via Apple Pods, Spotify, use the Odyssey app, and any which way you can to listen to great football talk. For Lyons and Fitzy and everyone here at WEEI, this has been Six Rings and Football Things. We'll talk to you soon. The draft is but 2 weeks away. Hang tight and go mock yourself, everyone. And of course, as always,